It's not you. It's me. No, wait a moment. It's actually them. You're fine. I utter every word slowly with precision, not in a manner of goodbye, the way non-lovers do upon breaking the other's heart. I speak slowly, fragmenting each syllable, so you know, so I do too, that it's not you, it's them. That you're fine by smiling at me with no good reason, by mixing up the hours of the day, by making up 1,001 excuses for not counting backwards, as they say. And after all this testing, they produce a number. At first, 2 digits, then just 1. 1 digit to define the substance, the content of a person that is gone? But why is this a tragedy? I ask with all sincerity that I can muster, as if they haven't told me yet, as if they haven't asked. Will you get it too? Have you watched Still Alice? You should probably run some genetic test so you don't pass the illness to your kids. My kids? I don't have kids. I do still have my mom. So what is so distressing about this illness? I question their premise. I challenge it at the core. My social attire of rebellion would not accept the letting go. I long to redefine this definition of gloom and hopelessness and doom. What do you mean, what's so distressing? They retort with authorial conviction, no hesitation in their voice. How can't you see the trouble in your own situation? Your mother is fading away. Her brain is full of holes like Swiss cheese melting away every time and urine fires to warm a flame. Soon enough, she won't recognize her husband or you, nor herself. She's not fading away, doctor. She's very much present. She's right here next to me, in front of you. Look at her. She has even gained weight, entire 24 pounds, and still you can't see her or talk to her. Instead, you talk about her. You see right through her. Sweetie, sweetie, you're so naive. Your mother is dying. My mom is dying. That's the final diagnosis, the bottom line. Based on what? An unusual behavior? Problematic, you say. Or trying to be more, maybe less politically correct? Behavioral disturbance that must be managed. As if you don't suffer from moods and bad days. Besides, aren't we all dying from the moment that we're born? You didn't even look inside her to see. And if you did, what would you see? Scar tissue, burned bridges, massacres, hunger? Or would you see a cemetery of dying cells? Or nothing, to go with a metaphorical empty shell? A lost soul, perhaps? Perhaps it's us who lose our souls, our humanity, or the memory of what it means being human, of acceptance and social accountability and other insignificant values, for these are easily forgotten, especially when one deals with those who can't read the time or count backwards from 100 in sequences of 7. How do you quantify emptiness? Or death, or life? How dead is dead? And what technology does one use to measure suffering? A thermostat? A blood pressure meter? A ruler, perhaps? These, without any drop of doubt, are the important things in life. Numbers, names, and knowing who the president is, and how old I am. These are the things, the fragments that define and constitute my identity. And so these will make me and her joyful, correct, doctor? So sure, it is a tragedy that my mom doesn't remember my name from time to time and instead she calls me my child. and always remembers to light up with a smile and a hug upon seeing me. So, doctor, I wish everybody could rejoice upon seeing my face the way she does. Because, Mom, it's not you, it's them. You're fine. Thank you. So my mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's at the age of 58. Right after that, we were told that we should forget about her and take care of ourselves. No one told us how one forgets about a mother, and no one told us how we should take care of ourselves. For me, as a 28 young person, I was not willing to accept this. So I decided to look into what I could actually do to find ways to engage in a meaningful way with my mom. I wanted to have fun, because everything I saw when I went online was the prognosis, the tragedy, and essentially hopelessness. I wanted something else. I just wanted to have fun with my mom. I wanted a way to connect. So I did what an academic knows how to do best. I registered into a PhD program. And so coming from the humanities and the arts, I registered into a program in comparative literature here at the University of Toronto. And I decided that I would like to explore the ways we talk about memory loss in our cultural imagination. So as I was researching the topic, I realized that a lot of language that we use in fiction, in poetry, actually migrates into clinical language, into medical discourse, into policy papers that impact and affect directly people's lives, policy papers that impact people's language, the same language that then people use to narrate their stories of despair, of hopelessness, of memory loss that qualifies everyone who seem to lose memory as losers. It labels them as the losers who lost the lottery of health, lost the lottery of remembering. So I decided that I wanted to change it. And I started researching into things that I knew. And simultaneously, I started trying to engage with my mom through the world that I knew best. So as an art historian who focused on photography, I decided that I will show my mom photographs. I will show her photographs. It will trigger her memory. This will be great. A huge disappointment. No memory was triggered. What was triggered, however, was imagination. All of a sudden, she was telling me stories. Her world opened up to me because all of a sudden, I could see these characters coming to life from inside the images. Now, at this moment, we were not an Alzheimer's patient and a caregiver. At this moment, we were two humans, two people, connecting through storytelling. We were human. The other thing that I tried with my mom, except for photography, was just listening. So the art of improvisational theater tells us that we should be in the moment, and we should yes-and everything the person says. We should affirm and reaffirm what the person says and bring something new. So I was trying to do that. But sometimes it was really hard, really challenging. That is, one time, my mom and I were in the car. I was driving from one doctor to another. It was a series of doctor's appointments. And so we stop at the light, and my mom, who seems completely apathetic, all of a sudden looks up and says, "A bird." How do you respond to that? I had no idea how to, but I decided to do the only thing I knew, or my body produced a sound, basically. I said, mm-hmm. I had no idea what's going to come, but all of a sudden, it triggered something new. Now, I will tell you what it triggered right after I'll tell you something about this mm-hmm sound. So the mm-hmm is a response. It's something that we do oftentimes when we have a conversation. And this is how the person in conversation with us knows that we are listening, that we are affirming them. Now, right now, for instance, me standing on the stage alone in the quiet auditorium, not hearing any mm-hmm sound makes me feel that maybe I'm wasting your time, maybe my story is not valuable. So if only someone could make an mm-hmm sound, that would be great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So this mm-hmm produced another leap of imagination for my mom. And so she said, it's the keeper. The bird was the keeper. Now, I had no idea where this was going, but I was curious at this stage. And so I asked her, keeper of what? She paused for a moment and said, the clouds, of course. Keeper of the clouds. My mom was a poet. Who knew? I'll tell you more about Keeper of the Clouds right after this. So this is me trying to research more into art, realizing that I'm really happy finding all this information because it's out there. You can find so much information about arts interventions in dementia care, and it's beautiful, and it's wonderful, and there's so much done in music and healthcare, in social clowning and healthcare. The only problem is that this information about all these interventions, all this amazing research that is being done, is not translated to the popular culture. And so we are still using the same language to talk about dementia. The stigma persists. It's perpetuated at all times. We're still talking about memory loss as memory loss. We're still talking about people with dementia as sufferers. My mom doesn't suffer. So I decided that we need to do something about it. How shall we change it? I needed to find out how do I actually interrupt and disrupt the stigma. So arts seemed to work for me and my mom. And so I continued looking for more options to actually interrupt the stigma and disrupt it. And this is when I ended up actually writing Keeper of the Clouds and turning it into a graphic memoir, a very short one, illustrated by the amazing Evie Tempold, who at the time was 17, today she's 18. So this was a collaborative project. And this collaborative project has become a huge part actually, of our family's Alzheimer's experience. This artistic collaboration has become part of what people assume to be a disaster, a suffering experience. So what we did was to draw from our challenging experiences. They are challenging experiences because it is a life-altering condition. But these challenging experiences were used by us as raw materials for creative production. Realizing that this is possible was a huge affirmation for me that what I was on the road to create was the right thing. Last week, John, he's 46, he lives in Michigan, and he's an artist living with dementia. He read Keeper of the Clouds to his 6-year-old son and wrote me their impressions together. He said that my story inspired him to tell his story. Now, this is something, to me, that it's so important and so fulfilling to hear that, because it means that there are going to be more stories, more voices that are not infiltrated by the stigma, that are not contaminated by the loss. There will be still loss, but the loss might change. The meaning of the loss might change. And this is what counts. The more voices we'll have, the more diversity in the narrative structure we will have. So, seeing that, I've created ArtsForDementia. And ArtsForDementia, it's a portal, a social portal that aggregates and maps all the projects and creative endeavors around the world. We're actually using the internet the way it should be used. Because oftentimes you see that there is an amazing project in England, and then you try to reach out to them for funding, and they tell you, oh no, but you're in Canada. So the idea is for all the projects around the world to be under the same umbrella of ArtsForDementia. So it will be accessible and easily found, such that clinicians could actually refer their patients to ArtsForDementia. We have a network, a global network of people who are creating and realizing that even when they're in the most challenging situation in their life, they can still do something. We should be able to live with dementia rather than just die from it. And this is why improving quality of life with dementia is so important, is so crucial. So, apart from providing a space to actually collaborate on projects and create our own projects around the world, we're also creating educational programs and collaborations between artists. And the most recent collaboration we are creating with, just a second, Veni Vidi Multiplex, who are actually there working as exhibited at the Distillery District right now in Toronto at the Light Fest. And they're a trio from the Netherlands, and they're interested to create a public art installation to help connect with people with dementia. So this is my mom. Today, and this is my dad. Today, my mom is no longer walking. She is bedridden, and she's no longer talking. And yet, whenever she sees my dad, my brother, or myself, she always lights up with a smile. And this tells something to us. It tells us that it means that our engagement with her through arts creates this positive connection that allows her to still rejoice upon seeing us. So the note that I want to end this talk is actually that if we work together, because ArtsForDementia is a beginning, it's just a start. And if we work together, we can actually spread the word that there are ways to live well and have fun with dementia. The dementia is not the end. Thank you.